Hey, welcome back to Sailing Appalachia. Why do we call it Sailing Appalachia? Well, because we live in Appalachia and we sail, or try to. We power boat and paddle sometimes too, but we try not to tell anybody that. Let me adjust my makeup here so that I'm more presentable. There, that's much better. Yeah, healing up nicely. I fell down the stairs with a couple jars of jelly in my hand and landed on the jars, and yeah, it looked like a crime scene. Cherry jelly. I couldn't determine what was cherry jelly and what was me leaking. So, anyway, past that, and we're moving on to the Acrimony project. So, we mentioned this boat earlier in some of our other videos, and of course, got sidetracked with the more modern boats, but we got an invitation to a pirate reenactment. And it's not the large breasted women Ren Fair. This is a more authentic pirate reenactment in upstate New York. So, yeah, we're going. And if we're going, we're going to try and go correctly. And what I mean by that is do more research on our outfits. The time frame is early 1700s, so Queen Anne's War ish. So we're working on changing our Rev War kits, outfits, so to speak, to accommodate that time period. So where do we come up with the name acrimony? Well, when you look at Webster's dictionary, you look up acrimony. The definition reads something to the effect of bitterness, disdain, hatefulness, and I'm paraphrasing, of course. But that pretty much sums up what we want this boat to be. She's going to be dark stained, kind of an ominous gunboat that would patrol the estuaries and sounds looking for renegade pirates or maybe even doing some pirating herself. Now, the challenge will be to mount a 2-inch bronze swivel gun with her swivel gun in the bow, a firing swivel gun, by the way. We just want to make sure that safety is key and the weight distribution doesn't affect the boat in such a way that under sail she'll want to turn over more. So the gun's low, at least that's the plan from the drawings I made, and that hopefully won't throw her center of gravity up some up. So the first thing we want to do is, of course, make sure the boat's sound. So we'll go through and check for leaks. We soaked her in the pond for a couple days, and she had just a little bit of some weeping near her bow seams. So we'll go ahead and tar those bow seams and make sure that they're watertight. Like I said earlier, if we don't have time to get her under sail, then we'll just use her as a rowboat, a jolly, so to speak, that's under the power of row and paddle. But we are shooting for full sails and full rigging, but we'll see how that plays out. So first up is let's build a garrison cannon. Now, what does that have to do with the project or with sailing Appalachia? Well, we promised to bring a garrison cannon, basically a ship's cannon with iron wheels or iron belted wheels. We promised to bring one to the event so that we can fire from the shore onto the boats out in the lake. I started on the cannon first before I dove into the boat, just for the sole fact that the cannon, one, has to be built, the metal has to be forged, and it needs to be fired multiple times to make sure that it's safe and that I have a crew that's competent. So we started with the cannon first, our clothing second, and then while we work on these different components to meet our July deadline, of course we'll work on the boat. So that being said, sit back, enjoy this video, and watch me try and figure out how to make a cannon. barrel's heavy. So I'm figuring out what width my cheek pieces are going to be. Cheek pieces, of course, are the two wooden supports on either side of the carriage. So once I figure that out, then I can decide how long or actually how wide these axles are going to be. I'm going to have to break down by a proper tape measure. All right, let's do it this way then. Ta-da. Might be a few off, but doesn't matter on this really. Okay. I think I like it better inside the lip of the trunnion. So 13 and a half. Make sure that is perpendicular there, or plumb rather. 13 and a half. There. Yeah, 13 and a quarter. That way our cheeks will fit inside our trunnion lips. Cheeks and lips. Yeah, anyway, so 13 and a quarter. That's what we'll go with. So I see a smash finger on the horizon. I don't know about you. Okay, I'm going to grab my chair, then I'm going to sit and stare at it for a half hour and see where I've messed up. If it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. All right, that looks good. Number 2, keep moving. How can I get anything done if you're in my way? Watch out. So we're getting ready to turn down the rear axle for the ship's cannon. And best way I've found to do this is measure the length of your stock, find the center point, and then of course beforehand decide how wide you want your carriage to actually be. So since we're doing a slight taper on this carriage to the rear, the rear of this axle will be 1.5 inches wider than the front. So it gives just a gradual taper to the rear. So to do that, find the center point and then find the midpoint of that and then scribe a line all the way around. And I like to do it really dark. And the reason you want it dark is because when you're turning this, you'll actually see a circular line if you've made it dark enough. And of course, you know, don't go past the line. If you go past the line, then you won't have an even good flat space for the wheel to rub and set against. So I'm going to mark this, and then we will head to the barn for some more wood turning. So we found the center point, and I use a screw to help hold this in my chuck. Like I said, it's a old hand-built lathe my great uncle built some time ago, and well, it's got a little bit of a learning curve to use it, that's for sure, but I'm not complaining. Anything can turn white oak can't be criticized, in my opinion. Man, this is harder than a ball bat. So we'll screw this down and use this kind of as a little tiny mini axle. And we will set it in the chuck the lathe and go from there. Let's find the center of our other side. Good to go. So I'm using a wood rasp to knock off the corner first. I mean, you don't want to lay into this with a turning tool, especially being white oak, without knocking that corner down, or the four corners down, to round it just a bit. So we're rounded enough, we've knocked the corners off, we can start using a wood turning tool now. At least that's the plan. Okay. Looking good. I am getting a little dull. Yeah, me and the tools. Never was accused of being exciting, that's for sure. So I keep a whetstone up here. I find my angle. And I just put a sharp edge on my tools. A little bit of spit. Yeah, I know it's gross, but we do what we have to do to get through, right? Sorry, microphone had wood chips on it. So I'm trying to keep a consistent angle. And then I watch as the stone rolls up on the edge. If I'm rolling a little bit of the stone at that angle, then I know that I'm pretty sharp. Well, the tool's pretty sharp. Again, I'm dull. Watching me do it, so you can start to see it roll up. That is if you're keeping the angle proper too. If you're not, it'll roll up because you're knocking the edge off of it. It's just something that takes practice. And am I good at it? No. Do I know enough to get through? Sure. I'm making axles, right? Then I'll look if there's any type of burr or chip. I'll try and give that a little extra attention as well. Yeah, that's pretty sharp. Okay, back to turning. Yeah. Okay, to get into my corners, and the goal here again is not to hit the head, metal head of the lathe. Flip it over. We'll look for our pencil line that we mentioned earlier. So you definitely want a nice flat surface for that wheel to ride against. Okay, I'll continue working on this, and you guys grab something cold to drink. So now we're getting really close to our wheel diameter, so we want to go really slow and not take out too much. As we're finishing up number 2, well, the other side, we're so very close to having the right diameter here. Yeah, I think we're good. It's only hanging in a few spots, so let's do some sanding, and we should be good to go. The axle job will be done. Let's go put the axles together.